My dilemma after bachelor's in engineering and the search for opportunities. Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share a chapter of my life that taught me one of the most valuable lessons. Life is not always about having perfect answers. Sometimes it is about having the courage to make a decision and move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, in October 2025, I successfully completed my bachelor's degree in engineering. Like many fresh graduates, I felt proud, excited, and hopeful about the future. After graduation in November, I came to Kathmandu, the capital city of the Nepal, carrying not only my luggage, ladies and gentlemen, but also countless dreams and expectation in my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, soon after that, in January 2026, I appeared for the engineering license examination. After months of preparation and dedication, I successfully obtained my engineering license. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a significant milestone. It was a significant milestone in my journey. However, little did I know that the real challenge was not the examination itself. The real challenge was deciding what to do next, ladies and gentlemen. I found myself standing at a crossroad, ladies and gentlemen. One road led abroad, promising new opportunities, international exposure, and financial prospects. The other road led me back to my own country, where opportunities existed but required patience, perseverance, and a strong sense of commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, like many young graduates, I entered a period of uncertainty and dilemma. Questions constantly echoed in my mind, ladies and gentlemen. Should I stay in Nepal or go abroad? Should I pursue higher studies or start earning immediately? Should I prepare for government service or start my own business? These questions did not have easy answers. Ladies and gentlemen, for days and weeks, I discussed these issues with my family. We had long conversations filled with hopes, concerns, and possibilities. After deep reflection and careful consideration, I finally made a decision. I finally made a decision that would shape the next chapter of my life, ladies and gentlemen. I decided. Are you know what was my final decision? I decided to stay in Nepal, my home country. Ladies and gentlemen, making that decision was not easy. In a society where many talented young people seek opportunities abroad, choosing to remain in one's own country requires conviction and faith in the future. After deciding to stay, I again faced two important options, dear friends. The first option was to prepare for the Public Service Commission examination while simultaneously pursuing a master's degree in engineering. Dear friends, my friends, the second option was to establish my own business, open an engineering office, and begin my personal or individual profession career as an entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, both paths were attractive, both carried opportunities and both carried risks. At that moment, I realized something important. Education is an investment that never loses its value. Ladies and gentlemen, I realized it. Education is an investment that never loses its value. So, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I choose to continue my academic journey. I don't decide, I didn't decide, ladies and gentlemen, to stop my education journey, but I choose to continue my academic journey, continue to enhance my educational level. Ladies and gentlemen, I decided to dedicate the next 2 years to pursuing a master degree in engineering. I appeared in the entrance examination conducted by Tribhuvan University, Pokhara University, and reputed institutions within Nepal or within capital city Kathmandu. The process itself was competitive and demanding, but it strengthened my determination to keep learning and growing, dear friends. Eventually, I secured ad- admission to a master's program. Eventually, I secured admission to the master programs, my friend. Some people say that once you complete a bachelor's degree, your learning journey is over. But, ladies and gentlemen, I strongly disagree about their thinking. Their thinking, ladies and gentlemen. For me, education is not a destination, it is a lifelong journey. Today, as a master's student, I am continuously trying to broaden my knowledge, sharpen my professional skills, and expand my understanding of engineering, society, and leadership. My friends, looking back, I realized that uncertainty was not my enemy, it was my teacher. The dilemma I faced after graduation forced me to think deeply about my goals, values, and priorities. It taught me, ladies and gentlemen, it taught me that success is not about following the crowd. Success is about making thoughtful decisions that align with your vision and then committing yourself fully to those decisions. To all the young students and graduates listening today, I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be afraid if you feel uncertain about your future. Do not panic if you do not have all the answers immediately. Life is not a race where everyone must run on the same track. My friends, some people will go abroad. Some people will stay home. Some people start businesses. Some people continue their studies. Some will enter government service. Ladies and gentlemen, every path can lead to success if it is pursued with dedication, discipline, and determination. Remember, your degree gives you knowledge, but your decision shape your future, shape your destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, the future belongs to the future belongs not to those who never face dilemmas, but to those who have the courage to overcome them. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am still learning, I am still growing, I am still chasing bigger dreams. And I firmly believe that every challenge, every uncertainty, and every difficult decision has prepared me for greater opportunities ahead. My journey from bachelor's graduation to master's student has taught me one simple truth, ladies and gentlemen. My journey from bachelor's graduation to master's studies has taught me one simple truth. That is, the end of one chapter is never the end of the story. It is simple, it is simply the beginning of a new opportunity. The end of one chapter is never the end of the story. It is simply the beginning of a new opportunity. Thank you, dear friends.